administration heartlessly released into our country. No problems. Let them in. They let in everybody. They didn't check anybody. They let in everybody. Among the first bills I signed into law after taking office last year was the Laken-Riley Act. I'm so proud of it. To ensure illegal alien criminals are rapidly removed from the United States of America. If that's okay with the media. That bill has already been really playing a big role in the life of our country. It's resulted in over 21,000 illegal alien arrests. 21,000.
Mr. President, it's an honor to be here today, and it's an honor to be speaking with you guys. My name is Ethan Carreri. I'm a police officer in Palm Beach County, Florida, and a former New York City police officer. While serving the New York City Police Department, I personally arrested Jose Ibarra for endangering the welfare of a child. A few months later, I saw his face again in the news after he viciously murdered Laken-Riley. I did my job. I put him in custody. The system failed. No detainer, no accountability, no deportation, and an innocent American life was taken. If you enter our country illegally, there will be consequences under this administration. The American citizens must always come first. To Laken-Riley's family, your loss should have never happened. We owe it to you and every American family to enforce our laws, secure our border, and protect innocent lives. Mr. President, thank you so much for having me here today, and thank you for all you've done for our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stories like Laken's are one more reason why my administration will do everything in our power to end the scourge of sanctuary cities once and for all. They protect criminals. Why do people fight? They protect criminals with a vengeance. They fight for these criminals like murderers. They're protecting murderers. They fight for them so hard. There's something wrong with them.
Do I think the criminal cartels are going to go away without our involvement? Absolutely not.
I don't know.
Mexico has failed decades ago. And like I say, a lot of Mexico's corrupt. Mexican military is corrupt. Much of the Mexican law enforcement is corrupt. Much of the Mexican government's corrupt. And many of them don't want to be corrupt. But you take the payoff and do what we tell you to, we'll kill you and your family, and they will. So, I think if we were to wipe the cartels off the face of the earth, Mexico would be such a better country. I think President Trump did exactly the right thing, designating terrorists. I think he's doing the right thing, offering Mexico his assistance in taking them out.
We are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You lose a child or a parent.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco-politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels.
Charlie.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Truth bomb.
Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Every day, there's a battle for your mind raging. Information coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. What a weekend. It is February 20th.
So hyped.
I know, he would be. It's February 23rd, 2026 here at the Bitcoin.com studios in Phoenix, Arizona. Apparently there's a blizzard going on the East Coast, not here in Phoenix, but we'll find out. State of Union is tomorrow, and I'm planning on traveling there if the flights allow. If not, you'll see me here tomorrow. But what a weekend for American sports and Olympic. We were debating whether or not the men's team winning U.S. gold for the U.S. against Canada was a top 10 American sports moment. And I think it is.
I kind of feel like it has to be. It's not as big as the Miracle on Ice for a few reasons, but it comes close, and it sort of captures the spirit of it. You think, I saw a good take that was in 1980, we defeated Soviet communism, and this time we defeated basically the 2026 version of Soviet communism, which is basically hyper gay.
Hyper wokeism, Canadian
turbo wokeism. That's what Canada's gone all in on being.
I would venture to guess that Canadian wokeism is as large an existential threat, if not bigger, to our way of life and to the survival of Western civilization as Soviet communism.
Survival, quite literally, given their love of assisted suicide.
Yes, euthanasia, the euthanasia country. But it was a beautiful moment. Let's just go through some of these clips because a new star has been born, Jack Hughes, and this was the clip that when I was busy with family yesterday, so I was only like half checked in, and this clip came across the wire immediately, and I was just filled with patriotism at Jack Hughes and the way he handled this moment. 2:35.
This is all about our country right now. I love the USA. I love my teammates. It's unbelievable. The USA Hockey Brotherhood is so strong, and we have so much support from ex-players. I'm so proud to be American today.
So proud to be American today. He said, that's a great Canadian team over there, but this is American hockey. We did this for the country. And it was just like, we've seen so many bad clips and bad interviews from this Olympics from woke athletes, skaters that can't win gold and that fall. Sorry, I'm rooting against you. Was happy you fell. Sorry, just how I feel. But then we saw so many good stories, right? Like Alyssa Liu, who may be a liberal, may be woke, but she didn't disrespect us on the national stage, and for that we salute her, and she won gold. And then you get this moment. It was just, and by the way, we had more medals, more gold medals than we'd had since 2002 at the Salt Lake City game. We had the most medals we'd ever had.
I think before we move on to anything else, we should actually get the moment itself, which is they score the golden goal, so just context for those who didn't watch the game. It was very tight the whole game. It was 1-1. I would say, actually, clearly Canada is the stronger team.
They had more shots on goal.
They were getting way more shots on goal. We had some really great ones. There was a Canadian player who misses a wide open shot at, 5 feet away, if that. There was another one where it would have gone in and just deflected off the goalie's stick.
The goalie is why we won.
And the goalie was amazing. And then I'm told this is the clip. This is in overtime. Sudden death. That's one of the best things about hockey. Pure sudden death when you get into the finale. And I'm told, let's show. It's only 244. It's only 243. But we only have it as B-roll, unfortunately.
That's fine. So, throw it up.
Yeah, throw it up.
We'll narrate.
And he's taking it down. They have it 3-on-3 in overtime. Deflects over to Jack Hughes.
Back in the net.
It's great. I really love the Canadian announcer. He's very crestfallen.
Yeah, of course. Well, what's great, though, is that Jack Hughes had actually got a high stick penalty against him, loses a couple teeth, so he's all bloody, his mouth's just... And then he goes on to score the winning goal. And his brother's on the team. Another little known fact here, his mom was actually a coach for the women's team that also won gold.
Oh, it's amazing.
So the Hughes family won 3 gold medals from this Olympics, which is just phenomenal.
There's several family affairs, because I think we also had the Kachuk brothers, Matthew and Brady. I think they were on the team as well. So we have some great clips. In fact, speaking of him getting his teeth mangled, Jack Hughes had that to say after the game, 239.
I'm lucky I'm from the best country in the world, and we got great dentists there too, so I'm lucky I'm American, and they're going to fix me right up.
It's just so good. Anyways, so this was just one of the proudest moments. And then I want to address, because it's just so annoying. Well, actually, one other good note here first. So one of the players, Johnny Gaudreau, was killed in a drunk driving accident in 2024. And they welcomed his kids out for the group picture. And I'm going to be really honest. I got emotional watching this because they honored the widow, they honored the children, and my heart was instantly thinking about Erica and Charlie and their kids. And it was I think we have an image of this, if you guys can throw it up there. It was just
I remember
beautiful.
when that happened. It actually kind of became a mainstream news story. I think J.D. Vance said something about it at the time. It was during the election season.
Yeah.
Super popular player. They called him Mr. Hockey, I think they called him.
Mr. Hockey, Johnny Hockey.
Huge ambassador for the game. And then just he and his brother killed by a drunk driver, which never should have happened.
Tragic.
All out.
But they honored his kids. They brought him out for the picture. It was actually his son, Johnny Jr.'s birthday.
Ooh.
It was the 298th birthday of George Washington, and it's obviously America 250. So there was just, we were going to win, guys. There was no chance. That's how I look at it. But honestly, just a beautiful, beautiful, touching moment. And then on to the annoying part. So Kash Patel, and I don't know, Blake might feel differently than this. I understand both sides here, but Kash Patel is over there apparently on other official business, doing OPSEC. He's got meetings, is planned well in advance, according to his team. But he's a hockey player, and he's a huge hockey fan. They invite him down into the locker room afterwards, and he's living it up. It's like the best moment. And by the way, we were all Kash Patel in that moment. I was feeling complete joy and pride for our nation. And so Kash is back there. He's drinking a beer. And here's my thing. So the left especially is outraged at this. Some people on the right are outraged about it. They don't think he's doing enough good. Well, listen, like the crime rate and the murder rate is at the lowest it's been. There are wins on the board. I get it. You want more. We all want more. But Kash in this moment was just like one of us. He was just an American celebrating an amazing, amazing victory. And here's my take. Those guys invited him to be with them. They loved it. Look at them. They're all jumping up and down. They called him down. And if it was good enough for them, it's good enough for me, and I have no problem with it. Let them celebrate the way they want to celebrate.
It's weird for an FBI director to be doing that.
I agree. But guess what? It's weird, that President Trump sends out truths the way he does. It's weird. A lot of things are abnormal. It's weird that Gavin Newsom is trying to relate to black people by saying he has a low SAT score.
All I would say is
there's a lot of weird.
If James Comey in when he was FBI director, or if Merrick Garland had been at an Olympic game in 2022 and was jumping around like that, how would we
disagree.
react?
Hard pass. Hard disagree. James Comey is not a hockey player. Kash Patel is a hockey player. Big, huge hockey fan. He was there. He FaceTimed the president. They got invited to the State of the Union. It was a beautiful moment. I think, listen, to all the haters out there, it must be a miserable existence. Like constantly being upset all the time. This was a beautiful win, beautiful for the country. Let them celebrate. The guys loved it. They're patriots. They handled themselves well, made the nation proud. All right, it is that time again. It is Monday, we're about to tell you about Strong Cell, which means it is that time. Strong Cell, one of Charlie's favorites. It delivers NADH. And it's a proprietary delivery mechanism that gets it through your stomach into your system. You used to have to go get an IV for it. No longer. No longer is that the case. This is the power for all of your cells, the mitochondria. Tastes great, Blake. There it is. 2 ounces once a day. Try it for 4 to 6 weeks. You are going to notice a massive, massive improvement. You can now get it completely risk-free, 90-day money-back guarantee. Go to strongcell.com, use promo code Charlie at checkout to save 20%. Promo code Charlie to save 20% at strongcell.com. Fatigue, brain fog, it'll go right away. We'll be right back.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Truth bomb, take truth.
Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of the Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
I'm Chris from Illinois, and we like to watch Real America's Voice in the War Room with Stephen K. Bannon for all the great guests. Everyone from Kerry Lake, the great Frank Gaffney, Trump 24, Retribution.
Flashosaurus in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
Welcome back. I'm going to tell you guys about why refi. Private student loan debt in the United States totals about $300 billion, and $45 billion of that is labeled as distressed. Why refi refinances distressed or defaulted private student loans that others will not touch. They are not a debt settlement company, but they work with each borrower individually, tailoring a loan to your specific situation. So you will save thousands of dollars, most likely. They'll guarantee interest rates under 6%. They don't care what your credit score is. They'll even let you skip a payment every 6 months, up to 12 times. If you are living in a terrible financial situation where these bills are piling up on your kitchen table, you don't have to live this way anymore. Most people call them they're in terrible straits, financial straits. Some are depressed, some are even suicidal. This is what these folks live for. They're good people, patriots. They want to help you. Call 888-YREFI-34 or visit YREFI.com, YREFI.com. Check them out today. They're amazing people. They support our work, support Turning Point. So check them out. Want to tell you want to play for you one clip from Charlie about the Olympics. Charlie loved the Olympics. Often when the Olympics were on, we were just constantly talking about it. And we've tried to do him justice and talk about the Olympics as they've been going on. This is a great clip, 327.
The moment you put on the Team USA jersey, it is about duty, responsibility, obligation to the nation, and victory.
And he goes on to talk about one clip that the audio syncing was kind of off, so we didn't play it, but he was saying this is peaceful geopolitical combat. That's why you have USA on your jersey. And I love that. It's a really great way to frame everything that's going on.
Yeah, although I wish we had him to get his take on like the Eileen Gu thing, for an example. Peaceful geopolitical combat between countries, all of whose athletes just grew up in the United States.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because she's very talented and grew up skiing in Tahoe. And she took the money, $20 million for Eileen Gu every year. All right. There is more international news that we have to get to, and then we're going to bring in Steve Deace next segment. Lots to get to with him as well. Specifically this issue that happened at Mar-a-Lago, which is really troubling. Another potential assassination attempt, and we want to get into that with Steve Deace, what's underlying that. But first, we have to tell you about Mexico, and we've got Oscar Ramirez, Real America's Voice correspondent, border correspondent, coming on in the top of the next hour to talk about it more. But basically, all hell broke loose in Mexico, at least, and we'll find out what the current situation is from Oscar Ramirez. But here's the deal: they killed a massive kingpin, and of all the cartels, his name is El Mencho. But of all the cartels, it was the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, or Nuevo Generacion, or whatever. So the CJNG cartel, which is a mouthful.
I feel like there's a new cartel every few years.
This cartel has existed with basic impunity in Mexico for years. And I thought this was really important because this morning President Trump is honoring the angel families. He's bringing up the mother of Laken Riley, who was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant. And here, meanwhile, we've got this whole fight going on in Washington where they're trying to defund DHS, which is the agency that keeps us safe, which under, ICE is under. Listen, you could make an argument that DHS shouldn't have been consolidated into one agency.
It's just they're trying to defund the organization that is on the front line of making it so a U.S. city does not look like Puerto Vallarta.
Yes.
They are trying to defund the agency that keeps every one of those cartel members, which if you watch those clips, they have assault weapons, they have armored vehicles, they have heavy explosives. That is what happens when you have a full-blown cartel narco state operating with impunity. And that is not, there's nothing about destiny that keeps America from being like that. We are not like that because we have different people, different laws, different values. And if you change the situation, if we are just Mexico, we'll have the same thing.
Borders are where bad ideas, bad policy, bad governance end, and good ideas, good governance, and good policy begins. If we have the courage of our own sovereignty, if we have the courage of our own convictions, and we are proud to be Americans and say our ideas are better, our foundation is better. I'm not saying Mexicans are bad people. Some, I suppose, are good people, as President Trump once said. But the point is, our country and our civilization is more successful for a reason. And we cannot allow those cartel factions and forces to cross over the border and infect our country, which they did under President Joe Biden. There are currently cartel members existing in all 50 states. This isn't just like a border region thing. This is all across the country. And I have a theory on this, why we saw this. Now, El Mencho was taken out by the Mexican military, but it was done in coordination with U.S. intelligence. So we were providing intel about where this guy was. It was also very interesting that he died in transit. So there was a shootout, and him along with two others, so three of them died in transit. Ooh. I think they made a conscious decision to make sure that he was not able to exist alive, because then he would have been a target for an assault on the prison he was at. I think they killed him in there. That's what I think, or at least refused to resuscitate him. But whatever, that's speculation. I also think that they chose to do this after a year of President Trump's deportation efforts, getting some of these bad hombres out, because you got to get these cartel factions that exist within the United States at least cowed. You have to put them on the defense, right? And so this is what's interesting. President Trump's policies are making their life a living hell. Let's go to 258. This was from September 2025. CNN interviewed one of them and asked them this. 258.
think what President Trump has been doing has been making your job tougher?
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
But it's becoming more difficult, you think?
Yeah.
And President Trump is on record stating the case very plainly. 254.
We are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels. The cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country. But the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You know, you lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying, too, with drugs.
So Cartel Jalisco New Generation was famous for a couple of things, still are. They have armored vehicles, they have rocket launchers. I mean, this is a complete paramilitary organization, and they just decided, hey, you're going to kill our leader, we're going to make your life a living hell all over the country. They're famous for fentanyl running, cocaine. They're also famous for things like fraud with timeshares. So actually, the Treasury Department just sanctioned a Mexican timeshare company that was part of which was run by this cartel. They're famous for ripping off senior citizens that are vacationing there, American senior citizens, and then, of course, smuggling of humans. So this is a really nasty cartel that was essentially they lifted up this El Mencho as their preeminent leader, right? It was a cult of personality. So for them to lose this guy would be extraordinarily destabilizing. So that's my theory. My theory is that the Mexican government, the President Trump has been putting the screws to the Mexican government to get them to act. They finally did it after a year with our help and involvement. So we'll see how this develops. Again, we're going to cover this more in hour 2, so stay tuned. Steve Deace joins us next.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. The death of the leader of Mexico's Jalisco New Generation cartel at the hands of the Mexican military has set off a deadly and brutal rampage from cartel members. The group is said to be Mexico's most powerful drug cartel. Cartel members are blamed for burning cars, blocking roads in more than 20 Mexican states, even storming at least one airport, setting a plane ablaze there. At last check, at least 25 Mexican National Guard members were killed in the operation. El Mencho, as the deceased cartel leader is known, was a top target of the Mexican and U.S. governments because he was one of the top fentanyl traffickers into the United States. Last year, President Trump named the Jalisco New Generation cartel a foreign terrorist organization. The White House says it provided intelligence support to the Mexican government to help find El Mencho. And as President Trump continues to secure the border and crack down on illegal immigration, earlier this morning, he hosted angel families at the White House. Those are American families who have lost loved ones to criminals who were in the United States illegally.
Thank you, sir, for putting America first and putting these angel families first and letting everybody know their stories, because we matter. Thank you, sir. My brother Rocky Jones was murdered by a criminal illegal alien. He was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. This man was arrested, released, and within 24 hours, he went on a shooting spree in Central California. Unfortunately, my brother was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This man shot my brother 8 times at point-blank range. I pray that no other family has to go through that. Unfortunately, they will.
Today's event was meant to recognize 22-year-old Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, who, of course, was brutally murdered by a Venezuelan illegal alien, while she was out for a jog. The president also signed a proclamation designating Angel Family Day. A man is dead after the Secret Service says he drove into a secure perimeter at Mar-a-Lago early Sunday morning. The Secret Service says the 21-year-old had a gas can as well as a shotgun on him when he was shot and killed. Investigators say the suspect is from North Carolina. That's a quick check of your headlines.
Great awakening is here. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. About to welcome Steve Deace in just a second. First, I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. For a lot of Americans, the healthcare system is reactive. You get sick, then you go to a doctor. But All Family Pharmacy is different. It's family-owned, works with licensed doctor, and is built around the simple idea you should have the freedom to make informed choices about your own health and the ability to be prepared ahead of time. So you stock up so you're ready if you do get sick. With All Family Pharmacy, you can order prescription medications before you are sick, keep them at home, and have them ready when you need them most. Everything is done online. A licensed doctor reviews your request, and your medication ships straight to your door. They offer antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, got it, methylene blue, and even your daily maintenance medications. This is about access, preparation, and personal responsibility. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. Use Kirk10, promo code Kirk10, to save 10% on your next order. All right, without further ado, Steve Deace, host of the Steve Deace Show on Blaze TV. Welcome back to the show, my friend. It's good to have you.
Good to see you, too. How are you?
Doing great. So, Steve, you had this great tweet, and you were talking, I mean, we can put it up on screen if you want. It's a little bit long, 313. So I just want to pull some threads from here. You're saying you're a child of the 80s. You detest Iran. You cheer, if you woke up and if we woke up this morning and Mossad took them out, basically. However, we were told that they were taken care of, that this was already done, and now we're gearing up for another invasion here. It looks like could be more kinetic activity, and you start to. I felt like you were channeling your inner Charlie, where you're saying we hate the brain rot of anti-Semitism, but like for a moment, put yourself in their shoes and try and understand where they're coming from. Try and make sense of this, their counter theories and this, all of the. I thought you put it beautifully. So please check out this tweet from Steve. He put it much more eloquently than I have just now. But break it down, your big idea here, Steve, and why you're trying, why you felt it was important that you put this out.
Well, I mean, some of this is exactly what Charlie and I texted each other last June, the night that we bombed Iran the first time. And generationally, I'm going to be way more jingoistic about let's make Iran, the Iranian regime, assume room temperature. But I also understand the tension. I have a son-in-law that's enlisted right now. He was told by his unit 2 years ago that if Joe Biden won, they were all just going to go over to Syria for 2 years for reasons. And so I'm very sensitive. I mean, that was basically it, for reasons. Yeah. You know, and so I'm sensitive to this in that, what is the point of what we are doing here? And have we explained it? And hey, listen, I was the guy on the main stage that y'all put up against the Groypers. All right. So, I mean, I think everybody knows where I stand on that entire debate. But I talked to a lot of those young men, Andrew and Blake, after that talk. And a lot of them, frankly, are just driven to the likes of Fuentes on a couple of impulses. Number one, they don't want to be another generation of wimpy dudes. They don't want to grow up and be Mike Pence with a perpetual furrowed brow and wearing sweater vests in July and Hawaiian shirts in January. They don't want to be that guy. That's part of it. You know, and when we skipped kind of a generation of masculine modeling and leadership, so they're kind of searching. And somebody like Fuentes kind of steps into that void and gives them an aberrant, I would say, demonic inversion of that. But the other is they have a lot of questions that I think we as the older generation have to answer. Questions like, why is it harder than ever to find a wife? Why is it harder than ever when you have one to find a house and to buy one? We have the highest median age home buyer in American history right now, 41 years old. All right. Why, you know, am I losing jobs in universities, even if I want to go become a gay race communist, or in the workplace to over 20 million foreigners that were imported over the last 4 years under Joe Biden? And I just think when we tell everybody last June that we obliterated Iran's nuclear capability, and then we're being told a mere 8 months later that nope, it's back, and now it requires the largest asset deployment of our military since the invasion of Iraq, I just think we need to step back and understand some of the reasons why our young men are contemplating going into some of the dark recesses of the abyss that they are, because we have lacked answers and substantive answers to some of these dilemmas. Why is it we're fighting harder on the borders of Iran right now than we are in Minneapolis? And I think that's a valid question. And if the older generation, such as myself and the boomers that are ahead of me, if we don't have good answers, then at that point, it doesn't matter how many algorithms ban the likes of a Fuentes. Young men are going to go searching for people like that as sources that might come up with aberrant alternative theories like the tail wags the dog, and it's really the Jews and the Israelis that are really in control of the world. Well, when we don't offer them any prevailing theory of any common sense, don't be surprised when they go looking for alternatives.
Yeah, especially with this Iran buildup. It's as you say, we saw the strike last summer. We were told it was effective, and I really feel the buildup with Iran right now is almost happened on the back page of the papers, if anyone even reads papers anymore. I don't feel there's been much discussion of it. You compare with the Iraq War 20 years ago, which I do remember. There was a very long buildup to it. It was a big mistake, but there was a very strong and aggressive case made for the war on several grounds. Similarly, we had a pretty strong motive for going into Afghanistan. I do feel like a lot of Americans, if we were to suddenly be doing a regime change, large-scale war with Iran tomorrow, one, I think a lot of people who are paying less attention would just be shocked that it's happening in the first place because they would not have noticed the buildup, and they would struggle to articulate, why are we doing this now? There was the uprising there, but that at this point was almost a couple months ago. And then there was the nuclear stuff, but it seems like if there was a rational reason to do it, it would have happened last summer. And it's going to be difficult, I think, if this happens, for the administration to sell it. And I hope they've practiced what they would say.
Don't disagree with any of that. And I think the key for the Trump administration, what Trump understood because of the years he's done business dealings in that part of the world, what he understood is that Muslim and Arab are not necessarily the same thing. And for decades, going back to as long as you two guys have been alive, the so-called Palestinian question was the vexing conundrum of Middle East peace. And administrations post-Reagan, from Bush to Obama to Clinton, all were attempting, how much land should we give up? How much autonomy to give the PLO and the Palestinians, on and on and on. And what Trump recognized is there's a lot of leaders in places like Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Egypt that actually could care less about the so-called Palestinian question. They're no great, fans of Israel. Israel, but they're not necessarily fans of forever and perpetual war either. And they'd like to start lining some of their pockets and be wealthy too. And I think he set that tone in Riyadh with one of the greatest foreign policy speeches I've seen in my lifetime, maybe the greatest foreign policy speech I've seen by a president post 9/11. And I think that set the tone for his success and why at the end of his first administration, we were beginning to see normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia, for example. Right now, there's over 2,000 Jews working full-time in Saudi Arabia. That had been unheard of a decade ago. And you can put a lot of that on the success of this administration. And Iran is a seamless garment here. The Saudis hate Iran for different reasons, but every bit as much as the Israelis do. And so there's a common foe and a common enemy here. And yet, despite that, here's the thing that I think is the most troubling to me. Who reigns in place of the Ayatollahs? Right? Listen, I want these guys to assume room temperature post haste, right? But we're talking about a nation now of tens of millions of people, has two different standing armies. Okay, it has the Revolutionary Guard that's loyal to the Ayatollahs, its own national army, who so far has not stepped in and defended the protesters. So we don't know if there's an al-Sisi kind of a figure within that military. We don't even have, again, I'm a little older than you guys. Who's the Boris Yeltsin kind of half drunk, but at least somewhat stable, resistance figure? We don't have that, let alone a full statesman like Lech Walesa. Maybe this Reza Pahlavi, who's been living at the lap of luxury his entire life in exile. Maybe there's the common Iranian that was getting gunned down in the streets would just love to have that aristocracy back. I don't pretend to know, but Blake, these questions are some of the things that I think you have to answer for the American people. What's the plan of succession here?
Yeah, well, and Steve, I love this tweet and wanted to talk about it with you because I just felt completely Charlie-esque. And one thing that we have the privilege of doing at Turning Point and in our work on campuses, we get to meet a lot of these young people. We bring them on the show. And I think, if you could sum up Charlie's kind of the Charlie doctrine, if you will, it was, why are we nation building abroad? We need to be nation building here at home. And we have all these kids, to your point about all this immigration. I was just traveling this weekend with my family. I couldn't get over how many foreigners were around. Mostly Hispanics, but there was other nations involved. I mean, it was like half and half. It was like half Americans, half foreigners. And you extrapolate that to the workplace. You extrapolate that to where they learn. You extrapolate that when they go get an ID at the DMV. You extrapolate that across the board, and they feel like they live in a nation that has betrayed them, that has basically let in the third world at their own expense and given them all kinds of kickbacks, all kinds of privileges and advantages at their expense. And then they look at the news and we're about to bomb Iran again. And I think there is this cognitive dissonance that starts to sort of creep in. And as you point out in your tweet, they start looking for other explanations. They don't care what the Constitution says when they're looking at that kind of a formula. They stop caring about the George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and the beauty of our founding documents and our founding creeds. They don't care. They're just looking at their life and saying, I can't do it like my parents did it because of these structural issues. Now, you could be of a Gen X or a boomer generation and say that they're just a bunch of whiners. I'm telling you, a lot of these kids are amazing. They're hard workers. They're in a different generation would have been considered great patriots. Structurally, though, there are issues in front of them that we have to acknowledge. We have to be honest about. So I loved your tweet. And I want to get into this in the next segment, Steve. But then you've got this Austin Tucker Metcalf kid that went into Mar-a-Lago with a gas can and a shotgun and gets himself killed because he's on some Reddit channels or something on the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. We got to make sense of this. We have to make sense of what's happening to our young people in this crazy media landscape that they're all kind of trying to exist in. Listen, these breaks sometimes don't cooperate with me. We've got 15 seconds, so we have to do a live read. But the floor is going to be all yours, Steve, when we get back from break. I promise, because I really want to hear what you have to say about what happened at Mar-a-Lago. Really quick, guys, I'll tell you about Balance of Nature. If you are not pumped when you look at the ingredient list, you are not paying attention. You're not Maha. Balance of Nature products, it's nothing but fruit, veggies, nothing else, no additives, dyes, preservatives, nothing but the original fruits and veggies. Health has to be everything to you. If you're going to live in a fast-paced lifestyle, which a lot of us are doing, you need to stay in the best shape possible. That's why we are sold on Balance of Nature's Whole Health System Supplements. Balance of Nature's Whole Health System Supplements includes 47 ingredients of 100% whole fruits, veggies, spices, and fibers. This is an essential product that we trust here on this show, and you can too. So you can lock in 50% off for 1 year when you subscribe to the Whole Health System supplements as a preferred customer. Go to balanceofnature.com. Do it now. You'll be so glad you did. That's balanceofnature.com. Again, you can lock in 50% off for 1 year when you subscribe to the Whole Health System supplements as a preferred customer. More with Steve Deace when we are back in just a few minutes.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. More with Steve Deace here. So, Steve, throw up 329. This is apparently this Austin Tucker Metcalf kid. And TMZ got this tweet of his, or his text message exchange. He said, I don't know if you've read up on the Epstein files, but evil is real and unmistakable. The best people like you and I can do is use what little influence we have, tell other people about what you hear about the Epstein files and what the government is doing about it. Raise awareness. So this is a guy that apparently is traditionally been a conservative. He's been proud about his Christian identity or his Christian faith. And then he goes into Mar-a-Lago seemingly to set fire to it, shoot somebody, maybe assassinate the president. Thinking back to our conversation in the last segment, what are you thinking about this story, Steve?
I think, first of all, it's brilliant to connect these two stories. And I listen, as I get older, I'm getting that age. I have to hire my oldest daughter to run some of my social media because I'm at the age now where I just don't want to learn anything new. I'm good, and we all hit that age, right? And so next stop, Gran Torino, okay, and sour looks, all right, okay. And, and I think the benefit that I have is I'm launching a 19-year-old son into manhood right now, all right, just graduated high school, right, has 2 job interviews today. He's got some real talent when it comes to writing and content creation. But even when your old man's got connections, those are some of the toughest businesses to break into. So, he's got to start at the bottom, like Mr. Miyagi says, send the flow kind of stuff, And so that has been helpful to me to hold off some of my y'all are just lazy and soft, because I know what home he was raised in. And being lazy and soft was not permitted in my home. So that helps me to not immediately devolve to that sort of old man yells at cloud default setting, because I now hear the other side of the conversation. I hear what him and his peer group, a lot of these are kids from, good homes, Christian homes, went to Christian school, homeschooled, right? And even they are feeling this tension, let alone the young men that maybe didn't have a good dad or any dad at all in the home to model anything to them at all. This idea that for the very first time, it is very possible none of what we know as Americans America or the American dream will be there for them at all. And then at the same token, what occupies their time? I mean, we had law of the jungle when I was growing up. There were just certain things you could not say to another young man for fear that your parents could not afford the orthodontist appointment. Okay. I mean, if you played football growing up as I did, you know what an Oklahoma drill was. And that's where things came correct real quick about the stuff you were maybe running your mouth about in school. Well, now on these devices, I jump on Snapchat, I jump on a Reddit forum, and I just say a gamer forum, and I just say things I'd never say to somebody else's face because there's no instant recourse. And so the level of venom and toxicity is way higher at the exact same time. And so where does all that masculine energy go? We have a real crisis here. To quote Barack Obama's former pastor, America's chickens are coming home to rooster. We skipped a generation of masculine leadership and modeling in the home, in the pulpit, and in too much of our body politic and cultural institutions. And so now the repercussions for that are here. And this is why I said, when I eulogized Charlie at AmFest, that for his mission to reach the young men to be confirmed and successful is going to be determined now by the older men, the boomer men in their third act, the Gen X men like me entering your third act, how you finish your race, how you model on the back end what Charlie was urging these young men to do on the front end, because we should be the ones now that are living the best portion of our lives, living the blessing of getting married, having children, staying with our wives, making something of ourselves. We need to model that finish and finish well. Otherwise, I fear what's going to happen collectively to this generation of young men for sure.
Yeah, and on top of that, this is another manifestation of what we actually saw in Minneapolis, where the Alex Pretties, the Renee Goods, the people who are getting whipped up by that line that this is a fascist takeover, that we're on the brink of a Nazi dictatorship, and mentally imbalanced people are pushed over the edge by that sort of rhetoric. And that's also what we're seeing with this Mar-a-Lago gunman, that he's getting told, oh, there's a pedophile cabal running America. And there are people running with that narrative who know that it is a severe exaggeration, who know that it is not that's not reality, but they also know it will whip up people like that to go too far, especially because at the same time, we have a real case of burgeoning, call it assassination culture in America, where people are just overtly in favor of talking about murdering politicians, murdering leaders. We have clips like this. In fact, let's play one of them. This is 338.
I don't think it would take that many of them having something happen before maybe they started to fall in line, is all I'm saying. Just like 3, maybe. Publicly.
Yeah, but this, by the way, that's one of like a dozen clips that our team has pulled, and the comments are all like, yeah, you're not dreaming big enough. We need to kill more. And what's interesting about this, and Steve, we got about 2 minutes left here, is that this has been coming from the left to the right. I mean, this is why we make such a big deal about this, because it killed our friend. Mm-hmm. But this kid seems to fit in a different sort of paradigm here. So, well,
just like we saw, there was a pattern as I was coming of age politically, where postmodernism infested the left, and then like a swarm of locusts, once it had corrupted that entire crop and consumed it, it then started seeping into some of the right as well. We're now seeing this with nihilism. All right. Yes. So nihilism in and of itself is a fundamentally demonic ideology. Right. But again, I mean, most demonic ideologies behave in the marketplace of ideas like locusts, and locusts are never satiated. They just consume until the crop is gone and then just find the new crop. And that's kind of how this works out in ideologically. And so we're now starting to see some of this black pilling kind of nihilism emerge within our side, too, particularly amongst a cachet of our young men. And the thing that we have to always remember about Marxist ideologies is everything they do, say, and think, everything is to accomplish 2 goals: more power and more control. And so, as Blake is pointing out, if cynically winking and nodding to some of these nihilistic elements, it's okay to, how many eggs do you crack in order to make an omelet kind of a thing? It's just collateral damage. If it gives them the power and control they want, they'll go with it. And the only thing they won't that they won't be for is what won't give them the power and control that they want.
Yeah, I think that's well said, Steve. I really hope, and I think this is one of Charlie's enduring legacies, I hope it endures, which is that, if you see the polling, a lot of this nihilism seemed to be on the left. the assassination culture, this Mangionism, was coming from the left. And meanwhile, young men on the right wanted to get married. They wanted to have families. They wanted to have a good job. I mean, we saw that that NBC poll just before we lost Charlie. And so I just hope that what you're sounding the alarm here. Charlie sounded the alarm about this nihilism creeping into the right. We have to fight it. We have to present an alternative. We have to present a faith-based alternative, I believe, as well. And I think your message is well made, Steve, that Gen X, boomers, older millennials, we have to present that alternative version of events, of reality that they, and by the way, we have to make sure they can buy homes. I mean, we have to be nation building here at home. I hope that message gets through. Steve Deace, thank you so much, my friend. It's always a pleasure having you. We'll see you again soon. All right. See you in hour 2 with Oscar Ramirez. We'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Real America's Voice, we love Pastor Jensen Franklin, a faithful servant of the Lord who brings our audience life-changing sermons every Sunday.
God is after a conversation with you.
And now, Jensen has a new book that will impact you too. What if your most effective prayers were not your longest ones? So many believers feel pressure to say more, thinking longer or more eloquent prayers will move the hand of God. But Scripture says otherwise. Throughout the Bible, brief, heartfelt prayers brought breakthrough and divine intervention.
And if I can inspire you to pray, I can inspire you to be like Jesus.
You will discover how even a simple cry like, "Lord, save me," can open heaven's windows.
I really believe it's going to change your life.
Filled with biblical examples and practical encouragement, this book will help you pray with confidence in every circumstance.
You are missing so much more God has for your life.
Get ready to experience the miracles that come when you pray short, bold prayers filled with power. Scan the QR code now and order your copy today on Amazon.
Bates here with your Real America's Voice news break. Thanks for being here with us. The death of the leader of Mexico's Jalisco New Generation cartel at the hands of Mexican military has set off a deadly and brutal rampage from cartel members. The group is said to be Mexico's most powerful drug cartel, and cartel members are blamed for burning cars, blocking roads in more than 20 Mexican states, and storming at least one airport, setting a plane there on blaze. At last check, at least 25 Mexican National Guard members were killed in the operation. The deceased cartel leader, known as El Mencho was a top target of the Mexican and U.S. governments because he was one of the top fentanyl traffickers into the U.S. As RAV correspondent Oscar Ramirez reports, the U.S. provided intelligence support to the Mexican government to help find El Mencho.
Where Nemesio Oseguera, El Mencho, the guy that it was gunned down, had a lot of power and a lot of presence. This escalated into the north cities and the north borders that connect to the United States of America. One of them, it is the city that I am located in Tijuana, where more than 20 incidents have been, noticeable. And that incidents, what do I mean by incidents? Burning not also of automobiles, but also at businesses, pharmacies, and these kind of oxos that they are, they can resemble as a 7-Eleven. Yesterday, I reported on the ground of 4 vehicles that they were burned. One of them was concerning. They burned a pickup truck in front of the border wall that is just steps away from the United States authority. I also said this is a national security issue. Why? Because these cartel members, they burned this vehicle in front of the border wall, but they have cameras of the United States government. So they want to let the United States government know that they're actually doing this on the purpose to unstabilize the security of the citizens of Mexico and to send a great message to the United States authorities that they still have presence on these communities and these neighborhoods. Under the Biden administration, the cartel grew 2 times bigger, 2 times stronger on territory, on land, financially, and in technology. And we're seeing the result of that because of the negligence of the Biden administration. Who would ever thought in Tijuana that the Cartel Jalisco New Generation had this enormous presence? A lot of these studies and the intelligence of the Intelligence Department of Mexico, they thought that the Sinaloa cartel was the one that it was in charge of the state of Baja California. But now we know that it's completely the contrast and the opposite. And this is because of the negligence of the Biden administration that provided this cartel to have this enormous power. You can see it actually on their technology and their weaponry. And they have a lot of presence inside of the United States of America. This is a national security issue on both sides of the aisle. Inside of the United States of America, they need to start securing their borders and being on the lookout for drone attacks and possibly, some kind of not of an attack, but an approach by the organized crime and the cartel to near the border. And it's a national security issue also at the end of the day for Mexico. They need to provide security for Mexican citizens and for American tourists that they're located on the other side.
We'll have much more on the developing situation in Mexico throughout the day here on Real America's Voice. In the meantime, the weather here in the northeast of the United States turning out to be a big story as well this week. New York, all the way north to Massachusetts, dealing with blizzard conditions. This is video out of New York. Look at this. Let's take this full screen, guys, if we can. The National Weather Service projecting up to 2 feet of snow in some areas. More than 500,000 customers are dealing with power outages. That number, by the way, includes more than 212,000 people in Massachusetts and 128,000 in New Jersey. Look at this snow that continues to fall. Weather Nation meteorologist Patrick Crawford has the very latest.
Weather Nation meteorologist Patrick Crawford here, tracking the nor'easter impacting the northeastern United States. A look from earlier on Monday, some of the thunder snow that was happening out in New York City. And then we get out into Deptford, New Jersey, tracking that intense snow. Look at how high that snow was when it came to the accumulation on some of those vehicles. We've seen feet of accumulation that we've been tracking across these areas. Those numbers, they have been huge. And then on top of the heavy snow, there's been so much wind. That's a nor'easter. That is the setup that we've been dealing with. So we have widespread power outages that have been happening all along the Atlantic seaboard. Blizzard warnings continuing all the way into this afternoon and evening from the coast of Maine all the way down into southern Delaware. You can see that forecast showing the snow lingering all the way through this Monday. And as that low continues to push east, all the impacts will start to diminish. That's the very latest from here at Weather Nation.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis, while Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We are joined by Oscar Ramirez. He's a Real America's Voice border correspondent, and with everything that happened over the weekend with El Mencho, we wanted to have on-the-ground reporting. So, Oscar, welcome to the show. Tell us, where are you, or if you can tell us roundabouts where you are, and where is some of the worst violence happening? And is it still happening?
Well, after the assassination and the execution of Nemesio Oseguera El Mencho, the violence started escalating in the tourist areas in the part of Puerto Vallarta, and it escalated to the parts that they have enormous control, that is Michoacán, and the parts of Guerrero, and also in Jalisco. But this perplexed, and it just caused a domino effect, and it started happening in the north borders in cities like Tijuana that we are located. They started doing narco blockades, burning cars, burning businesses to send a message to the government and to tell them that we have presence on these particular neighborhoods or tourist areas, and that we are going to terrorize the citizens and to let them know that they are critically hurt because the head of the snake was completely eliminated at this particular moment. And they started doing this in the part of Tijuana, burning cars, burning businesses. Until now, yesterday, we were reporting on the ground more than 22 incidents happened. What it means, incidents between vehicles and also businesses that they were burned, sending a message strongly to the government of Mexico to tell them we have a lot of presence on these particular states in the whole country and the whole territory. Now, a thing that is extremely important, just today, breaking news, the head of the military and the head of the Department of Defense in Mexico just made out a statement and an interview said that this was a clear collaboration with the United States of America in regards to the United States providing the intelligence to do the execution by the federal government of Nemesio Oseguera El Mencho. The violence right now, it was increasing last night. It's here in the city of Tijuana that is connected to San Diego. There was still burning of vehicles continuously in several areas, but until now, schools have been off limits. Now they closed the schools, they closed the educational systems of elementary, junior high schools, and colleges. Businesses are closed for security reasons of the citizens. There has been multiple threats on social media groups by, these, particularly pages that they are in cahoots with the organized crime, telling the population that they're going to start shooting civilians after 10 o'clock at night. Is they still walking? It is a huge national security threat. I did a video on a report on a vehicle that it was burned just steps away from the border wall. This tells you the level of audacity of the cartel, and they burned that vehicle in front of a post on the territory, in the American territory. This post that it has a huge camera from the U.S. Customs that basically tells you that they did it on purpose, just to tell the American government, we know that you provided the information for our leader to be executed. So at this moment, the federal government has released statements that they will provide the security that it needs to be provided for tourists, and also deployment of more military to the whole country of Mexico.
I have a bunch of questions here. As far as where the CJGN cartel, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, where does it rank in terms of the most violent, most powerful cartels in Mexico?
That is the number one right now. Nemesio Ceguera El Mencho was one of the most violent ones and atrocious ones. Clearly he sent a message to the population and to the world of decapitations, dismembering bodies, and he's the one that is basically pointed out to the multiple hundreds of thousands of mass graves that they have been found in our country of Mexico, missing people, extraction of organs, and all this atrocious acts towards women in the country.
Okay, go ahead.
So, Oscar, I think that's really baffling me. So, 25 members of the National Guard killed, obvious mayhem throughout the country. I'm reading the LA Times this morning. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum insists country is at peace and remains calm after what's going on. What's her attitude towards all of this? It seems like she strikes a very strange tone with her remarks. And I guess the follow-up is, what's next? Is this a spasm of violence, or is this going to turn into a wider, I don't know what else to say besides war?
Well, the Mexican people, that we have common sense, and there's millions of us. We know who perpetrated and who did this mission and who initiated this mission, and it was the American intelligence. If it wasn't for the Trump administration, this that just happened would have been done. And all of this that is happening in the country of Mexico, the dismantling laboratories, the extraction of criminal leaders and leaders of cartels and being extracted to the United States of America, the execution of Nemesio Ceguera El Mencho, all of this wouldn't be happening. Now, the Mexican president, she has an agenda, and it's a leftist socialist agenda, and she needs to pander to her audience to say, we are not letting the gringo, we're not letting the white man to come and invade and intervene in our country, but we are collaborating, so-and-so, and quote unquote, we are collaborating with the American government for them to provide information and for us to execute. That is how she's maneuvering this. And of course, she's saying that this all this mission was executed by the federal government, but now she's obligated to say that the American government are providing the information. This is history, guys. Nobody in history in the United States of America has had the more extraction of information that the Trump administration has right now. And why do I say that? They have El Chapo Guzman, they have El Mayo Zambada, they have Nicolás Maduro, all the extraction of information of how Mexico works and how corrupt all these dirty politicians that they're located in the Senate and Congress in Mexico. So the Trump administration basically knows the ins and outs of the government, and they need to bend the knee. When the Trump administration says we're going in, we're going in.
Yeah, so my question is, Oscar, does this signal a change of policy in Mexico? Is this a turning point, or is Claudia Sheinbaum doing this kicking and screaming, and this is kind of going to be a one and done? What's your prediction?
Well, the Mexican people are going to demand more now. If they had the capacity to execute Nemesio Ceguera El Mencho, why you're not going through several states and controlling these states that they're violently and critically controlled by the organized crime and the cartel? So basically what the pressure of the American government it is doing right now to Mexico is for the Mexican people to demand more from the Mexican government for them to execute this mission. If you were precise, and if we lost some good ones, we lost some military men on this mission, but if you went over there and you executed the mission, why you're not doing that on every state? So it's going to have an effect on the senators, on the opposition, on the conservatives, on the Christians, on the Christian, senators and Christian, congressmen that they are in our country to demand more from the opposition.
Yeah. So, Oscar, that's my question. Because the cartel is so interwoven with just basic businesses and the hotels, and there's this. It's hard to draw a line between official government business and cartels, right? And will the people demand this? Is there popular support for more action against the cartels? And is there enough will within the official government structure of Mexico?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is happening right now. And also what the Trump administration has done is that they have given the courage to senators on the opposition and on the right of Mexico to go and basically on Congress and on the Senate and expose the left-wing political party and say, you're corrupt, you're involved with the organized crime and the cartel. One of the things that got viciously exposed is how this criminal organization had so much control over states and how they have the audacity to terrorize the citizens, and they're still doing it until this point. So it's basically exposing the weaknesses of our government, and the Mexican people know that right now at this moment.
So last 20 seconds here, Oscar, do you predict more violence in the days and weeks to come?
I will not recommend American citizens to travel right now to several spots and several tourist spots. It's kind of agitated, and let this sink in for the next couple of days for the federal government to have more control over really rural and difficult and tough neighborhoods. I believe that it's going to escalate a little bit. Inner wars are going to happen, and let's see who takes charge of this criminal organization. That is going to be the next step of how they're going to fight among each other for territory.
Oscar Ramirez, Rav's border correspondent in Mexico right now. Thank you so much, Oscar. Appreciate it. We'll have you back on as this story develops. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you so much for the invitation, guys.
Absolutely. Really quickly, want to tell you about Blackout Coffee. It's a family-run American company roasting fresh coffee in the USA, built by people who believe in hard work and freedom. They loved and honored Charlie. God bless them. They got Morning Reaper, Brutal Awakening, 776 Dark Roast. I'm drinking it right now. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Charlie. Use code Charlie for 20% off your first order. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Charlie. Use Charlie for 20% off. You can get a subscription, save even more, free shipping. That's the way we do it here at the office. blackoutcoffee.com/Charlie. We'll be right back.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now. From powerhouse vocalist Natasha Owens, known for standout singles like Trump One and Somali Waltz, comes her brand new release, The Boss, released on Real America's Music. This is the direct response to Bruce Springsteen's recent release, The Streets of Minneapolis. While Springsteen once branded himself as a voice of the working class, The Boss gives a voice to everyday Americans and reminds listeners who truly shapes the future. The Real America's Voice audience has the power to move charts and shake the industry. Download it right now. Scan the QR code or search The Boss on iTunes. Push it up the charts. Make them notice.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that Rav News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
We gotta hit Gavin Newsom. He's got it coming. First, I got to tell you guys about Wi-Refi. Wonderful, wonderful people there. I visited their office a couple weeks back and truly, truly was blown away at how dedicated they are to helping you. So if you find yourself in a situation with private student loan debt and it's gotten out of control, it's gotten out of hand, please do yourself a favor, contact them today. If you know somebody that is struggling under private student loan debt and they can't make their payments, they're going to custom tailor a solution for you. They're going to talk with you 3 minutes, and it's a rate. There's no credit impact, and they'll do a 3-minute check with you. Bad credit is accepted. Please call them 888-YREFI34 or log into YREFI.com. That's YREFY.com. They're amazing people. If you are struggling in this position, you do not need to do it any longer. Take control of your financial future. Call the good folks at YREFI. They support what we do at Turning Point. They support this show. Truly, truly great patriots. You could trust them. May not be available in all 50 states, but if it is available in your state, please check them out. Blake, you had one final thought, and I thought it was really important. Sometimes the best stuff happens.
I just want to close the book on the cartel thing. What was so insane is just the visual of literal cartel members. They're standing, they're wearing uniforms with their
armored cars.
They have armored cars, armored vehicles,
rocket launchers,
heavy machinery, heavy weaponry. And all I can think is this is a country that borders the United States, and we've had 30 years plus of lots of adventures in the Middle East, where we're often chasing people armed up just like that, but they're on at least the other side of the planet. They can't send rocket launchers super easily to the United States, but you know who can? The cartels. And we see with them launching this, for lack of a better term, this insurgency where they're taking over huge chunks of central Mexico in demonstration of their leader being killed, killing dozens of Mexican National Guard. It actually strikes me as insane that we've had so many wars on the other side of the planet, and yet we haven't just said, okay, actually, we're going to drone strike anyone. Like every armored vehicle that belongs to a cartel, blow it up. It's just going to get blown
totally
up.
Agree.
Period.
We're trying to play nice with
Mexico
with
wants to help us. That's great.
That's the problem.
But if they don't want to help us, we're going to do it anyway because it's not acceptable for there to be a gangster actor in a neighboring country that has armored personnel carriers.
Totally agree. All right. Well said. Needed to be said. So, and Charlie, by the way, totally agreed with that. He's like, if we're going to use military force, that's the one place we should use it. All right. I got to play a couple clips for you. 3:39.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word a computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things.
3:46.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
And 250, the new one.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
All right. So Gavin Newsom's trying to buddy up to the black community by saying, I'm dumb too. I can't read. This is okay. This man's going to run for president in 2028. And I want them to run this moment on repeat on the ad. This is the bigotry of low expectations in living color. I've never seen such a clear example of that other than the two other clips that I played before.
I mean, there's so many more. I remember Hillary Clinton, when she was running for president, she did an appearance in New York, and then she showed up late. No, it's the one she showed up and she said she was on CPT.
Gosh.
And then they said it was cautious politician time, but that's obviously a reference to something else. It's like it's very wild, and all I can think of is this is a real study from 2019. Do you know about this? The Yale study. Yale did a study of how like the vocabulary that white liberals use, and what they found is white liberals, when they're talking to black people, they will actually deliberately downshift
code switch
their vocabulary. They will basically act like they're talking to children,
and they'll get an accent.
And they noticed that white conservatives did not do this. They just did not change.
Nope. Because we expect the same out of everybody. It is literally the most racist comment in the. And then you add on top of all of this that they don't think black people are smart enough to get ID. It is quite literally the most racist crap that you will ever hear coming out of the mouths of Democrats, and they're pandering to them to win their votes by telling them they're dumb. And yet most of them will still vote for Democrats. And that's the baffling part of all of this. Here's Charlie reflecting on his time with Gavin Newsom. Remember, Charlie went on Gavin Newsom's podcast, was the first guest, made lots of news, 353.
He is the fakest person I think I've ever met in my entire life. So synthetic. And honestly, that's very dangerous, like incredibly dangerous. Like he's the type of person that could just like stare like, oh yeah, I voted for Trump, and just like pass a lie detector test. That is very, very dangerous. Just stone cold, just like no inhibitions whatsoever when it comes to deceit or lying or misleading.
So Blake, you and I were with Charlie when he went to that podcast, when he went on Gavin Newsom's podcast, and I'll never forget. We were driving away, and I go, "What was your impression?" He goes, "Man, that guy wants to be president."
Yep, he always has. It's really glaring, and it's really disturbing because I've got to say, as much as we make fun of him here, as much as we made fun of him in other times,
he deserves it.
He deserves it. I don't think you can escape that feeling. Like it could happen. This is the dark future of America is 100% that Gavin Newsom could run, be slick enough, have the right look, say the right things, and everyone will just sort of get behind it. It's like he's the politician utterly without qualities. He hasn't been a great governor of his state. By any objective measure, it's been a catastrophe. He has big headline disasters like burning down a big chunk of Los Angeles, and then he has the data-driven disasters. Businesses leave, people leave. His state is entirely dependent on endless immigration inflow from foreign countries to not completely implode. And they're they're driving out every billionaire because they have this wealth confiscation
tax. To be fair, Newsom says he's going to veto that, but yeah.
But they can't. Well, I think it's a vote amendment. I don't think he can block it if they.
He's promised to veto it.
We'll see what he does.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they have every other problem in the world, and so.
Yeah,
but he could win.
Well, it's interesting. I got asked to write a piece, and I forgot to tweet it out, actually, but I got asked to write a piece for the California Post, which is like the New York Post, but for the West Coast. It was about Charlie, what he thought about California. And Charlie loved California, loved how beautiful it was. But he would always, when you land there, he goes, man, what a beautiful state. It's a shame what they've done to it. Every time. That was his first thought, his first comment. And, Gavin Newsom is just the living embodiment of what incompetent leadership looks like.
The Democrat plan in 2028 is to run on Making America California, and it's going to be very shameful if we can't beat that pitch.
Dennis Prager on his new book. You are not going to want to miss this. Dennis Prager next.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with safe, proven ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to GoPills.com and use promo code REALAmerica for 15% off.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted,
Seditious conspiracy.
but behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
President of the United States.
It's been an incredible year for America. The Dow hitting record highs, the border secured, cartels in shambles, dictators captured, wars brought to an end.
America is back.
And the United States respected again around the world. Now, Donald J. Trump delivers his next State of the Union address, laying out the victories and the bold vision for what comes next.
The American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before.
America now has a strong president, unlike the other guy.
Well, we saved the planet from the climate crisis.
Are you stupid?
Live coverage starts this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss the real State of the Union on Real America's Voice.
It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before.
Terrence Bates with your Real America's Voice news break here. President Trump getting ready for his State of the Union address tomorrow. He's also continuing to secure the border and crack down on illegal immigration. Earlier this morning, the president hosting angel families at the White House. Those are American families who have lost loved ones to criminals who were in the United States illegally.
Thank you, sir, for putting America first and putting these angel families first and letting everybody know their stories, because we matter. Thank you, sir. My brother Rocky Jones was murdered by a criminal illegal alien. He was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. This man was arrested, released, and within 24 hours, he went on a shooting spree in Central California. Unfortunately, my brother was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This man shot my brother 8 times at point-blank range. I pray that no other family has to go through that. Unfortunately, they will.
Today's event was meant to recognize 22-year-old Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, who was brutally murdered by a Venezuelan illegal alien while she was out for a jog. The president also signed a proclamation designating Angel Family Day. That's a quick check of your headlines. I'm Terrence Bates.
Democracy lives in light. The Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I am so excited for our next guest. He's a man that needs no introduction to this audience, but I will say it anyways. Dennis Prager is one of the most respected and influential thinkers, writers, and speakers in America. He's a nationally syndicated talk show host. He is the founder of Prager University and is a New York Times bestselling author of 9 books. And he's a man who's been through a lot, but most importantly to this audience, as you all know, he was a dear friend and mentor to Charlie Kirk. And Dennis, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. It is an indescribable honor to have you.
Oh, I'm delighted to be with you. I'm delighted to be with you because you're you, because it's TPUSA. And because I'm delighted to be able to speak.
Yes.
Be perfectly honest.
Yes.
For those who don't know, I had a catastrophic fall in my home on November 12th of 2024, which left me paralyzed from the shoulders down and not breathing, without a ventilator and not speaking. And here I am having an interview with you. So you can imagine, for all those reasons. And finally, I just might note, when I watched the funeral service and other memorial services for Charlie, and I heard all these people describe themselves as Charlie's closest friends, I thought it was a great credit to Charlie. Like kids who think, they have 5 kids and each one thinks that they are the parent's favorite. The parents did a good job. Charlie did a good job, but I would just like to remind everybody, or maybe they didn't even know it. So remind might not be the actual verb. And that is that his last book on Shabbat, on taking a day in the name of God. Yep, there it is. Stop in the name of God. By honoring the Sabbath will transform your life. Was dedicated to me. Charlie wrote a beautiful dedication. Charlie called me, I would say, almost every week for at least 5 or 8 years. And he would call after listening to another tape of mine on the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, with questions. And the whole idea of Shabbat came from our interactions. So, I'm supposed to promote my book, but here I am promoting Charlie's book.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful testament to your guys' friendship. You shared a deep, deep bond, and we are going to get to your book, which is titled "If There Is No God: The Battle Over Who Defines Good and Evil." And the fact that you're even coming out with a book, Dennis, is a miracle and a testament to your character and your fortitude and your strength of will. But I want to read Erica Kirk's endorsement of the book. I think it's just so beautiful. And it's a bit long, but I'm going to do it. She says, "This book is a treasure to me. Dennis was more than a mentor to my husband, Charlie. He was a dear friend and one of the few voices who played a role in encouraging Charlie's moral courage. The two of them shared a rare bond blessed by countless conversations about faith, morality, and what it means to live with conviction in a world that has lost its compass. Reading If There Is No God feels like sitting at the table with both of them again. It carries forward the very message that both Dennis and Charlie lived, and Charlie died believing, that without God, there can be no good, and without truth, there can be no freedom." It's just beautiful.
Yeah. It meant a great deal to me that she would write such a thing in the midst of her grief and her battling people who want to destroy TPUSA. I have never encountered something like this effort to hurt a beautiful institution from people who supposedly are on our side. It's I don't know if it's unprecedented, but I can't think of a precedent.
Yeah, well, I always tell people, what God has unleashed, man cannot stop. And so we walk in great faith and great courage. And the movement is expanding. It's growing. Charlie's legacy looms large. I can tell you here at HQ, but at all the chapters, Dennis, that are exploding. It's not just, we're opening 50 new chapters a day, but they're not just 2 or 3 kids. We're talking 10, 15, 20, 50 kids, 100 kids. Some of these chapters are thousands of students large now because of the life and the legacy that Charlie left behind. And you were a huge part of that, Dennis. And one of your most famous questions, which relates to your book, of course, it's a famous one from your days on the radio. If your beloved dog and a stranger are drowning, who do you save first? This became a incredibly famous question. It's also sort of a starting point for this book. Please explain.
That's right. I've actually been asking this question for 50 years. 50 years, and the results have been the same throughout those 50 years. I would ask high school students or college students if they loved their dogs, which everybody who has one does, and a stranger were drowning and their dog were drowning, who would they try to save first? I know that they would all love to save both and so on, but they have to try to save one first. In virtually every instance, cut across economic, racial, religious lines, in virtually every instance, 1/3 of the group said they would save the stranger, 1/3 said the dog, and 1/3 didn't know what they would do. 2/3 of Americans over half a century would not say that they would save the stranger. And that led me to the whole supposition of the book that what they were doing is substituting emotions for values. I love my dog is an emotion. Humans are created in God's image is a value. That's why I would save a stranger before my beloved dogs. My wife really loves our dogs. I only love them. She really loves them. And she would save a stranger first because she believes that people are created in God's image. Animals are not.
Yeah, I really want to drive home for anyone who is a more recent listener or just didn't know how important your moral guidance was to Charlie when he would think about moral questions. Andrew, he would mention this in private. Dennis says this is how Dennis used this problem. He really looked up to you for moral reasoning like that and for framing things. So many things that you would say and we would hear him repeat on campuses because you have that great way of distilling, like that difference, using emotions instead of values and the subtle differences between them. I want us to play one of those clips just to illustrate that. We have Charlie citing you for a moral question, 487.
I learned this from the great Dennis Prager, who says, stop focusing on intentions, focus on the actions. It's a much better way to judge whether or not something is right or wrong. Intentions, as I've said before, and there's a video that went viral, the Nazis thought they were doing good. They convinced themselves that they were doing good, when in reality they were doing some of the greatest evil in the history of the species.
That's very moving to me, obviously. I don't know if either of you know this. Charlie visited me in my hospital room, and he brought a copy of the transcript of his book. Mm-hmm. Little did I know, it never occurred to me,
of course,
that I would not see Charlie again. Yeah. It broke my heart on every grounds.
Well, yeah. Dennis, even in the aftermath of Charlie's assassination, I mean, your subtitle, The Battle Over Who Defines Good and Evil, and you think about, I would say the vast majority of people reacted as you would expect and hope to the tragedy and sadness and horror and shock. But there was some voices that reacted in glee, in celebration. And I can't help but think of your subtitle in that book as the perfect distillation of why the battle of who gets to find good and evil matters so much. 1 minute in this segment, Dennis.
Well, if humans determine what is good and evil, then you can have moral inversions where the Nazis are good guys and the Jews and others are bad guys. You have that now in the Middle East, where all of a sudden the Nazis of our time, the true Nazis of our time, Hamas, are the good guys. They're battling colonialism, and Israel, a democracy with 1/5 of its citizens are Arab Muslims who thrive there and who supported Israel by and large in this war. Israel is the bad guy. We are living in a morally inverted universe.
Moral inversions because of secularism and losing track of God's value system and design for our lives. More with Dennis Prager, the great Dennis Prager, when we get back.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with safe, proven ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to gopills.com and use promo code REALAmerica for 15% off.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We are joined, of course, by Charlie's mentor and dear friend, the man he dedicated his final book to, Dennis Prager, who is a legend, an icon, and one of the most important moral teachers of our time. Dennis, I want to ask you a question that you address in the book. It's called The Problem of Pain, as C.S. Lewis said. You know, how does your book answer the question of why a supposedly good God allows for so much suffering and evil in the world?
I've dealt with that all of my life, and I have so much to say on it. I'll try to be concise. All right, first of all, people need to deal with that issue before tragedy strikes in their life. If you start thinking about that question, well, only once you've been hurt, it's too late. I, for whatever reason, was preoccupied with the problem of evil from my high school days. So I dealt with it before I was personally hit by the tragedy that I am currently living. All right? And therefore, I already had answers. People, I'll give you a great example. A woman called my radio show many years ago, said, I just want you to know, Dennis, that I always vehemently disagreed with you on capital punishment. I was opposed to capital punishment, and you were ardently for it. Well, I've come around now to your point of view. I'm for capital punishment. And I said, why? She said, because my brother was murdered. So, of course, I offered condolences. But then I said what needed to be said. That I said to her, hey, wait a minute. So when millions of other people's brothers were murdered, you never asked the question. And she agreed she had never asked the question before. This is a common flaw in the human species. We deal with issues only when we are confronted by them. You've got to deal with these issues way before you're hit by them. I did. My way of dealing with it is through reason and religion. The greatest combination there is Judeo-Christian religions and reason, and that is that God allows evil to take place because we would be robots otherwise. Life would lose its meaning. People would no longer be a free species. So that has to happen. And as regards a natural evil, if you will, cancer of the undeserving, you're right. We don't have an answer to that. I've read book after book by theologian after theologian. There's no great answer to the question, and therefore, we have only Job's the answer at the end of Job, where God says, "Where were you when I created the world? Do you know why eagles make nests?" In other words, we're like puppies compared to human beings in our ability to understand life. When we compare ourselves to God, we don't know the answer. But I will say, I do believe that there's bad luck. Most religious people differ with me. But I think God, in my case, God allowed gravity to, and lack of friction to take its course. Well, what was he supposed to do? Stop it from happening to me? And I wrote this stuff decades before what happened to me happened.
It's remarkable. And I know one thing I think about, I know Charlie had wanted to do his Sabbath book even before your accident. I know he was planning it, but I also recall after it occurred, I know that really motivated him to make sure that was his next book that he would work on. And it moved him to complete it quickly. I don't know if that offers some solace to you or not, but I know Charlie drew some inspiration. He really wanted to get this Dennis-inspired book because he knew, maybe you wouldn't recover, and he wanted to make sure that he would be able to carry on your legacy as well with his own work.
That's true.
Now, I know none of us expected this, but we're glad that, I guess you could return the favor. You're continuing Charlie's legacy. We're trying to continue Charlie's legacy.
That's right.
After what happened.
Yeah. And I dedicated my book, which is coming out now, If There Is No God, to Charlie, as it happens, which I would have done anyway. But now it was to Charlie's memory, which I still, to this day, I find that almost as unbelievable as my paralysis. Charlie Kirk is dead. It's this vibrant, incredibly young man.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a reality that we confront every day, and we still have his seat open here in the studio, Dennis, and we'll never fill it. And but it's a comfort. I didn't realize how comforting it was going to be for me personally to talk to you, Dennis, and to see you doing so well. I didn't know what to expect when I saw you, and your mind is as vibrant and as alive as ever, even if your body's rebelling against you. And this has been truly wonderful. I wish we could have more time, and in fact, maybe we'll try for that. But thank you so much, Dennis Prager, for talking about your book and talking about Charlie with us today.
I would love another opportunity to talk to you. And you may not be in that chair, but you're filling the seat beautifully.
Thank you, Dennis.
And finally, I just ask your listeners.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with safe, proven ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real-world tested by high-level tactical communities, now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to GoPills.com and use promo code REALAmerica for 15% off.
Exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.